Hello and good morning. We're going to play our 8 principles video while everybody's getting settled.
The Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola, the 8 Principles.
Number 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Number 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relation.
Number 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation.
Number 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
Number 5, the right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregation and in society at large.
Number 6, the goal of one community with peace, liberty, and justice for all.
Number 7, respect for the interdependent web of existence,
of which we are all a part.
Number 8, active commitment to dismantle racism and other oppression in ourselves and our institutions.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Paula. Welcome. I'm Mary Beth. I'll be your service leader today. My pronouns are she and her. Before I get started and before I forget, if you'll silence all your cell phones and anything that makes noises, that would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to joining us, we want to welcome you. We want to let you know that if you've been looking for a home, a church community, a family, this is it. Congratulations, you found us. Welcome home. If you're rejoining us, thank you for coming back. We love you. Happy to see you again. And for those of you watching online, thank you for watching. In your jammies, probably comfy on your couch. So if you are new to us, we are a lay-led community. So every Sunday we have a different speaker, some returning, some not. Today we have somebody from very far away, Nashville. So that's a treat. But it's great because we have different perspectives every week. So always something new. We like to keep you on your toes and make sure you stay awake. Just kidding. Not kinda, a little. Anyway. But if you want more information about our church, about the UU community in general, we have pamphlets out front. You probably already got one from one of our wonderful greeters. If not, you can go on our website, uupensacola.org. It has everything you'd want to know about the UU faith and also our church in general. So any questions you have, just go to our website and it's there for you. Or you can take a pamphlet, whichever you want to do. We have some announcements. First, before I get into announcements, I want you to turn to your neighbor, and in your own style, I want you to say, "It is good to see your face." Right? That's right. I heard some grunts. You love it. Feels good. Yeah. Okay. So I have a few announcements. Today, after service, every Sunday we have nice treats that are provided by our lovely people here, Penny, Michael, Jack. They provide yummy goodies. We have coffee and water, and it's just around this side on the left in the conference room next to the library. So after our service, please join us for goodies and some fellowship and fun. And then after that, our speaker today, our guest speaker, is very generously given more of his time other than speaking. He's going to be in the library, and if you have any questions, want to talk about his story that he's sharing today, please feel free to grab a snack and then head on into the library, which is just up here in the corner. And he's there and available, and a lovely person, and I think you guys are going to enjoy his message today. But that's right after service. Also, Fun and Fellowship has an upcoming event. Sunday, June 29th, we are going to have lunch together. So we hope you join us after service, probably like 11:45-ish. Get a snack, fellowship, and then meet us for lunch, right? At Vallarta. It's the Mexican restaurant just up the way. You know, it's like not far. So we'll meet. So please let me know by that Sunday, like before I leave for the restaurant, so I know how big of a table to get for all of us. But it's a huge place, so we should be fine. So anyway, that's lunch as a church family, June 29th. And then my last announcement, which is weird, we only have 3. UUCP will be participating in this Thursday's Juneteenth parade in downtown Pensacola. We hope you will ride or walk along with our float, and thank you to Daniel Cobb for providing it. We will gather between around 9 a.m., usually somewhere on Spring Street near the City Hall, and the parade starts at 10 a.m. It will be hot, shocker. So bring water, sunscreen, a hat, prepare yourselves for that. If you are able, we will meet at the church this Wednesday to decorate, at 10 a.m., to decorate the float. It was a change from last week. We were going to stay after the service today and decorate it, but it's Father's Day. We have second hour with our speaker, so we want to make sure you guys enjoy that. So let's meet at the church here at 10 a.m. on Wednesday to decorate the trailer, the float. And I think if you have any questions, you can see me or Joe. But this is like a makeup for the MLK parade, which we always represent our church and our community there. So that'll be good. And happy Father's Day to those of you who are a father figure. Thank you so much for coming and celebrating. Yeah, give it up to the dads. Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate you sharing your special day with us. Okay, that wasn't too terribly bad, not too many announcements. At this time, we're going to have our chalice lighting, and if Claire, you'll come up and help me. This is actually interactive, and hopefully you can see that okay. If you'll just, can we dim the lights? Thank you, Kim. It's, after I read the bit, it's let there be light, so it's bold and underlined. Is that better? Okay, thank you. So we'll light our chalice, and I'll start us off. As the kindling of this chalice calls us to community, let there be light. As the flame of this chalice reminds us of our values, let there be light. As the glow of this chalice encourages us to hope, let there be light. Let's say it together. Let there be light. Thank you so much. We're going to have a bit of some centering meditative music for you. Will you give us an A flat, please? I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. opening words for us. Stories are for joining the past to the future. Stories are for those late hours in the night when you can remember how you got from where you were to where you are. Stories are for eternity, when memory is erased, when there is nothing to remember except the story. We're going to have an opening song, so I'll invite the choir to come. And if you are willing and able to stand with us, it is in the teal hymnal just under your chairs. It's 1012, When I'm Frightened. And then if you'll stay standing after that, and we'll recite our covenant together. This is the time of service where we share our joys and sorrows. I think I said it before, but I think we are a loving community. I think we're an accepting community, and we want to share with you in your joys and your sorrows. We want to grieve with you, and we want to celebrate with you. And this is a time where we can do that. It's not recorded online. It's just for here today for us present. So if you are willing and able and you would like to share something with us, if you want to line up on either side, share your name and then briefly give us what you want to share with us, we'll light a candle for that. And I will light the first candle as just a global candle. I know I should probably call it something better, but it is a fat candle. It covers so much. It's just a blanket candle to represent all the things that are going on around the world and our country, especially right now. So we want to light a big candle for that one first, and then, like I said, you can line up here. those who shared, and welcome to the newcomers. Shall we sing the children out? Are there? Yeah, there's some children. There's Honor. Okay, hit it. Might have been our best one yet. Okay, it's offertory time. So for those of you who are new with us, we are solely funded, member funded. So we run on what you guys can give us. So time, talent, or treasure, we'll take it all lovingly, very appreciatively. But at this time, we're gonna collect treasure. You can give online, sign up for online drafts. I think that's what most of the people do. Or you can send a check, cash, whatever you want to do. Now's that time. And we're going to sing a song. The words will be up here just shortly after this slide. And this is an original Rivka and Mike song. Mike's going to lead us, and the choir will help sing. So if you guys want to sing along, that'd be great.
Guys ready?
Nothing to lose but shame. Come on now, closets up for clothing. Come on in, everybody's right here waiting. Come what may, putting our former secrets on display. Nothing to lose but shame. Nothing to lose but
Thank you. Thank you, choir. So, social media, I think we can all agree, has its pitfalls. But one of its greatest gifts is the chance to connect with some truly inspiring people. Our speaker today is one of them. I came across one of his posts and was instantly drawn in. It hit me like a sack of bricks. And I immediately started following him. When I shared his content, a friend mentioned that she was his neighbor, making it clear he was actually a real person, not some, AI. And she said he seemed nice, so taking a chance, I reached out and surprised he responded almost immediately. And so I told him, hey, we have a mutual acquaintance. I'm not crazy either. And I said if he was ever in the Panhandle and wanted to visit, that would be great. We would love for him to share his story. I knew our community would love and appreciate him. So, and he said, yeah, he'd love to share his story. Who'd have thought? So a little bit about him, and I'll let him share more, obviously. But he is a gay ex-pastor and now works as a consultant supporting the queer and deconstructing Christian community and helps along their journey. So will you please help me welcome Mike Maeshiro.
Thank you. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Yeah, I'm Mike Maeshiro, pronouns he, him. I got a message from Mary Beth and was like, sure, I'm coming to Pensacola. And here we are. So Mary Beth, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here. Thank you. And I got in like at 4:30-ish yesterday, and Brett and Mary Beth and I just hung out in their living room for like 7 hours. It was crazy. And so now we get a break from each other to be here, which is great. I have never been to a Unitarian Universalist church before. This is my first time ever. Thank you. This is really cool. I grew up fundamental Baptist. That's an appropriate response. Very strict. And what comes with that strictness is anyone who's not like us is the enemy. Catholics, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Unitarians. It was a lot. And I was 4 years old when I first entered the doors of a church. My parents had this dramatic conversion to evangelicalism. And then I got put in a Sunday school class where I didn't know anybody, and I was told that I was inherently evil for being human, right? That Adam passed down a sin nature to all of us, and so that I was evil, and the only way to survive going to hell was accepting Jesus as my personal Lord and Savior. And I hadn't heard any of these words in my life. So at 4, I learned God and Jesus and heaven and hell and eternity and forgiveness and crucifixion for the first time all at once. And it was a lot. At the end of the Sunday school lesson, the teacher was like, okay, kids, raise your hand if you want to accept Jesus in your heart. And I was like, did we all just hear what she said? Eternal conscious torment, I believe, is the consequence of not inviting Jesus into your heart. So I got saved and entered the Baptist denomination and grew up very evangelical. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night church. I got put in private school. Our teachers had paddles. I got spanked at school. It was crazy. And I learned at a really young age to be terrified of God, that God was angry and vengeful. And I don't know if anyone ever said those words necessarily, but that was definitely the vibe, right? Like God was punishy and didn't like us. Again, nobody said that, but that was definitely the message. Like, we are awful, gross creatures who are barely tolerable was the vibe. And I also, at the time, like growing up, knew I was not like the other boys. I didn't know like what it was and why, but I just wasn't like them. And I had the symptoms I noticed was like I didn't like killing little animals or like roughhousing. I actually got along with girls and, like wanted to be their friends, and the other boys kind of made fun of me for those things. So I didn't really know like what my problem was or how to not be this way. But I also was learning in Baptist school and church that there were people in the world called the homosexuals or gay people, right? And I was told that these people were evil and that they would drag us to hell with them if we were nice to them. And they were abominations. They were the reason God destroyed a city, which God never did. And, there was just all this lore and mythology around the evils of the gay community. And then one day, I was in the bathroom by myself, just about to take a shower, and I had this existential moment. I don't know why, but I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I have these memories flashing in my head of all these moments where I wasn't like other boys, and like I had a certain affinity for some of my guy friends that was like stronger than friendship, and all of a sudden it clicked for the first time consciously. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gay. I'm gay. Oh my God. And it was terror after that, right? Like I knew anything, like, oh, I'm gay. Oh no. And I knew like I could not tell anybody. I definitely couldn't tell my parents or my sisters, right? Like I couldn't tell anyone. I would be going to the grave with this secret. And so then I started thinking like, what am I gonna do? Like what kind of a person am I gonna be in the world? Am I gonna marry a woman? Like I guess I'm gonna have to, and I'll just pretend like I'm happy and that's fine. Or maybe I won't marry anybody, because marrying a guy was definitely not on the table. That wasn't even anything I even considered, right? So I just decided, you know what? I don't need to figure this out right now. I'm 10. Let me just ignore this and move on with my life. But in that moment, I deeply accepted the closet doors and like locked it tight. And what's wild to me is I already knew how to hate gay people and why before I even realized I was one. And I'm like, what kind of an environment is that for a kid to be grown, to be raised in, especially a queer kid, right? I'm like, it's heartbreaking to look back and just remember the messages and experiences that I had being in an environment like that. So fast forward, I was a diehard church kid. I was like the golden boy of my youth group and in my family, and like I memorized passages of scripture for a grade. Like I was a very good student, and I engrossed myself in theology and like learned all the right answers. And anyway, fast forward, by the time I was 18, I was kind of bored with Christianity. I felt like I'd done it, and like I'd explored the reaches of everything that Christianity had to offer, and it was like not that good. And I was like, what are we offering the world? Why are we telling people to give up drugs and sex and rock and roll? What are we giving them that's better? Like, I just genuinely couldn't answer that question. I didn't tell anybody that I was thinking that, but I was kind of like fatigued and like over it. And then I went to Sunday school. There were like 5 of us in that class. It was adult Sunday school, right? And they were sharing testimonies. And one of the women in the room shared a story of a guy who was playing the male lead of a Christian film called Tip of the Spear, End of the Spear. It was a movie about Jim Elliot, the missionary. And he came out to the production team, told them he was gay, and he felt like they deserved to know that the lead actor of their film was gay. And apparently the team that was running this movie prayed together, and they felt like God wanted this guy to play the role, and so they let him be the character. And that was her testimony. And it was crickets in the room. Like nobody knew what to say. It was so uncomfortable. I was like, why did you tell us that story? We awkwardly fumbled and moved on. And then an hour later, I'm in adult service. We're about to have our main worship service, right? And I didn't realize what was happening, but I was really uncomfortable. Like I was distraught. And I didn't know why. In hindsight, that was the first time in my life, and I had spent how many days, hours in church being indoctrinated. That was the first time I'd ever heard a hint of a message or a story of God being gracious or kind to a queer person. Ever. And I did not have a place to put that in my theology. I didn't understand that God. So we're singing these songs about how beautiful God is and that we love God, and I start sobbing. Like I am a wreck. I am exposed and so sensitive and vulnerable. And for the first time in my experience, being a person was like, I would use this word, having an encounter with God. Now, I understand we've got a lot of different kinds of people in the room, a lot of different backgrounds, lots of different persuasions of faith or conviction now. And I don't need anybody to agree with my commentary of my story, but I'm just going to tell you the way I experienced this, and feel free to filter it or translate it however you need to. But in that moment, I had this experience where, like, I could know God. And I didn't know you could know God. And I had like converted some of my friends growing up, and like I introduced them to God. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait, God isn't what I'd been told. This experience, this person, this whatever is so different than everything I'd been taught. They were so much kinder and gentler and more humble than I was expecting. And they like loved me, which was confusing. Because I don't know if I realized it, but like I expected that God was mad at me or like had this contingency. Like, you gotta get straight, kid. You gotta figure out how to like women before we can be good, is kind of the theology I had. And this God was not like that. And I was like, whoa. And I lost my composure and couldn't recover for hours. It was humiliating. And then 8 months later, I'd been going to a young adults church Friday night service at a different church, and this preacher was passionate that God loved us. And I think I became convinced that God loved me while I was there. And then one night he was preaching about a leper falling before Jesus and saying, Lord, if you're willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus said, I'm willing to be cleansed. And it says he was immediately healed of his leprosy. And then the pastor stopped reading out of the Bible and started preaching that the Holy Spirit was in the room to heal us. Whatever it was, whatever our issue was, God was here to heal us. And I was like, whoa. I had never heard a preacher say stuff like this before. I was raised Baptist. We didn't believe in that. But all of a sudden, like, I couldn't hear the pastor anymore, and I just had this deep awareness that something about my life was about to change. Like, something significant was about to happen. I didn't know what. I couldn't explain it. I just knew, like, this is a big deal. So I went and got my communion cup and my cracker and got back to my seat, and I got on my knees like that leper, and I was about to pray the same prayer I'd prayed since I knew how to pray. Every birthday cake, whenever you're blowing out your candles and secretly wishing and not telling anybody what you wish for so it could come true. that prayer, that wish, was the same one my whole life. God, make me straight. Make me not gay. Help me like girls. Help me not like boys, right? Like, heal me, fix me, change me. Like, that was the prayer in all these different iterations for years. So I get on my knees in that moment. I said, Lord, if you're willing, you can make me clean. Like that leper, right? And then I had this dramatic experience. So I don't know what our backgrounds are here. I don't know what our spiritual experiences are. I had never experienced this before, but I fell away from my body. Like, I went down fast. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. And then I'm like suspended in this dark, quiet, solitary place. And I'm aware like Earth is far away over there somewhere. I don't know. And in this quiet place, like, God is here. And the first thing I hear God say to me in whatever communication happens in this place, they said to me, Mike, you've only ever told me what to do with this in your life. And it was kind of like a confronting, correctional response. And I realized immediately that's true. I had been bossing God around my whole life, telling God, fix me, make me straight, make me correct, right? Like, and so I got to, in the Christian language, repent in that moment for like bossing God around and thinking that I knew what I was supposed to be. And then this giant left hand came over my shoulder and they said, you're right, on the one hand, I can change you. You can leave this building a different person and the world will be different to you. And like in that hand, I could feel like there was something meaningful and powerful there. I was like, that's the thing I've been asking for my whole life. It's right there. And this giant right hand came over my right shoulder and they said, but on the other hand, I want this to remain. And I was confused and shocked because like I knew God wasn't allowed to say that to me. God couldn't possibly want me to be gay. That was not biblical, right? But it was also very clear this was God. And so I took a moment, I'm like, oh, they want a response. What am I going to say? And with my entire being fully aligned, I said, God, I want what you want for my life more than what I want. So if you want this to remain a little longer, so do I. And then immediately I was back in my body. Tears are streaming down my face, the lights are on, people are talking, and I was like, did that just happen? Like, that was surreal. And I did a quick scan, like, oh, are any of these girls, like, attractive now? Did God heal me? And no, I mean, I just wasn't there, wasn't firing. And I'm like, oh, but he's cute, don't look at him, right? And I'm like, okay, so that didn't change. But my life did change that day. For the first time in my life, I had experienced whoever God was in my most rejected, humiliated, shameful place, and they loved and accepted me there, the way I was. And that changed my life. I had this like indwelling like sense of peace and safety that I hadn't had for my whole life. But I never told anybody about this because I knew what I knew what evangelicals would say to me. Satan masks himself as a being of light, right? And he's the father of lies. And of course, I was listening to the devil. Only the devil would ever affirm me as a gay person. So I was never going to subject this to evangelical theology. I did not tell anybody. Fast forward, I had a few more of these radical experiences that I didn't know what to do with. It was really overwhelming and intense. And I went on this pilgrimage where I ended up going to a mission school in Japan and lived in Tokyo for 6 months and had some pretty radical experiences there. And then when I came back to Oregon, where I'm from, I was praying. I was like, God, please, like, tell me what to do with my life. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. And I could not figure out what my next step was. But while I was in Japan, there was this church/ministry school called, the school is called Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. And I was like, this is like Harry Potter for Christians? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? But while I was in Japan, I'd had some pretty radical experiences from like their ministry models and people from their school. And anyway, so long story short, I decided I was going to go check out Bethel. I was going to move to Redding, California. And I didn't want to live in Redding because Redding was like a rest stop. You don't live in Redding. You know, it's like where you use the bathroom on the way to where you want to go. So I moved to Redding, and then I went to the school, and I learned a lot of things I've had to unlearn. But it was like life-changing. And while I was there, I confided in a friend of mine. She was kind of a spooky Christian. She, like, I don't know, had this really weird ability to know things about people and was, like, scary accurate. And I was really skeptical for the first couple months that I knew her, but I, like, tested her information, and she just continued to be weirdly accurate about people's motives and intentions and things that would happen in their lives. And I was like, you might be a witch. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is Hogwarts. Like, what? But anyway, I had just like this profound respect for her spirituality Anyway, I pulled her aside one day when we were in first year, and I was like, hey, I got to tell you something. When I was in middle school, I fooled around with my best friend for like 2.5 years. He and I were like, okay, I don't want to be too crass. We basically used each other for sexual gratification for 2.5 years, and I, in my mind, was like, I'm just convenient for him, but I was in love with this person, and I did not tell anybody, right? Because I was so ashamed and embarrassed and terrified that if anybody found out, that everything I'd built with my reputation, my journey as a Christian would be ruined. So I pulled her aside and was like, hey, so this happened. Would you please pray for me? And we believed in like supernatural inner healing prayer stuff, right? So I was like, could you please pray for me and heal me from my gayness? Could you help me get me straight? So she prayed for me and nothing happened, but that was like a big move for me to trust somebody else and share that. At the end of second year, so it's the last day of school, I get called into the principal's office, basically. And I was like, oh, what's happening? And I sit down, and he's like, my pastor for the year was like, hey, I've been hearing disturbing reports about you. I was like, okay. And I'm thinking, like, did I not turn in a homework assignment? Like, what's going on? I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I think you know. And I was like, oh, what? So now I'm like terrified and like racking my brain. Like, what has he heard? And then randomly, my friend shows up in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, it's her. She must have said something to somebody. Maybe it's that. I was like, is this about Lindsay? He was like, yeah. I was like, oh God. So then I start kind of like confessing all this stuff from my middle school days. I'm just terrified and humiliated, and they decide that I don't get to graduate. And so they kicked me out of school. And our graduation ceremony was in like 5 hours. And I was like, is this happening? It was a pretty traumatizing experience, and I went into a spiral. I was depressed for a few months and didn't leave my bedroom except for to go to work. It was awful. I don't know why I'm laughing. And part of my recovery from that was they put me on a purity plan. So I had to like go do some specific inner healing, deliverance ministry type, conversion therapy type prayers with certain counselors, and then I had to join the men's sexual purity group and have some counseling with some of the people. And I did all the things and got a clean check mark on everything. Nothing about my sexuality changed in the slightest, and I was aware of that. But I just kept doing all of the right things and playing by the rules, and eventually, like, I got hired on staff at this church, and then I like started leading mission trips for the school, and then I started teaching in this school that I was disgracefully kicked out of, and I'm fast forwarding years, right? And then I started traveling the world and speaking in other churches and conferences in other countries, and I was like living my dream. I just jumped a lot of stuff, right? I was going to school to become a minister and to speak and preach and like preach the gospel, right? Like the kingdom of God. And I was doing that, and it was incredible. I loved it. I was living my dream. But every once in a while, I'd have these experiences again where like I would encounter God, and they would affirm me as a gay person, and I would weep and repent and remember that God genuinely loved and cared for me for who I was. And then I'd go back on stage and continue to perform this Christianity that was oppressive and dehumanizing, especially for people like me. And then one day, right before the pandemic, I was watching Taylor Swift's documentary, Miss Americana, by myself in my living room. I don't know why Taylor Swift has become part of my story, but here we are. And halfway through that movie, she goes hard on gay rights for like 40 seconds. She's like emotional and like talking about how gay people deserve equal rights and protection and whatever. And I was like, whoa. And I experienced something in my living room that day that I would acknowledge as like spiritual conviction. Like Taylor Swift knows something that I don't. She has touched something that I haven't, and she's right about this. And I felt really upset and bothered by that because I didn't know what to do with it. And then 2 weeks later, I was pacing my living room, rage praying, because I was having struggles with some of the leaders at Bethel and the church that I was working at. And I get interrupted in my prayer with this story of Peter going up on the roof in Acts. I don't really know if the Bible shows up a ton in here anymore, so this is part of my story, I'm sorry. There's a story in the Bible in Acts 10 where Peter goes on a roof, falls into a trance, and this sheet comes down from heaven, and all these animals that Jewish people are forbidden to eat, God says, rise, Peter, kill, eat, right? And Peter says, no, Lord, I've never eaten anything unclean. And God says, don't call anything unclean that I've made clean. And that exchange happens 3 times, and the sheet goes up. And that's it. So I read this whole passage, and then it's done, and I'm like, okay, why did that just happen? And the only thing I'm aware of in this experience is I have that same feeling I had with Taylor Swift 2 weeks ago. I'm I'm like, I think this is about the gay thing. But I don't know, what, like, is God telling me being gay is acceptable now? Like, I can't substantiate that, so I just ignored it. And then 3 weeks later, I'm in the back of my neighborhood, like in the woods. I'm literally yelling out loud because I'm so mad about the injustice I'm experiencing from some leaders at church with drama. It doesn't matter. But I was so mad. And then again, I got interrupted by another passage in the Bible. This was Jesus in the Gospels, I think Matthew and Luke. He's rebuking the teachers of the law. He goes off about, basically, he concludes this whole tirade with, you prevent people from entering the kingdom while you yourselves refuse to enter. And he's talking to the teachers of the law. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back in my life. Because when I read that, I knew I had evolved and become part of this group of people who was not only preventing people from entering the kingdom, but I also refused to enter. The church that I was a part of, which is a mega church and has global influence, is very openly anti-gay. They have a whole ex-gay, I'm putting big, massive air quotes on that, an ex-gay ministry where they counsel and minister to people to help them become straight. And I was counseled by the guy who started this whole thing for a few years, and I didn't say anything. I just continued to let that happen, all the while being a gay person and just shoving all of this down. And my platform and my ministry and my career and my income and all this stuff was just continuing to blow up and succeed. And this is all happening. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep being part of an institution or a platform that is dehumanizing people like me while I'm also dehumanizing myself. And it had taken me 16 years of struggle and processing and theologizing and these deep spiritual experiences and continued repression and denial to finally get to that moment. And I knew the moment I choose this, I'm about to lose everything. My career, my network, my opportunities. I have speaking gigs that will, I'm sure, get canceled. But all this stuff was going to go away like that if I choose to affirm myself as a gay person. And I'm like, why are the stakes so high? I'm not trying to decide to become a murderer. What is the deal? Why are we so intense about this? But I knew, I had a choice. Am I going to follow my conviction and honor the person I know God to be, live my truth, or am I going to keep running on this hamster wheel for Christianity and pretend this stuff is valid when it's actually really harmful? So I decided, okay, I'm going to come out. I'm going to accept myself as a gay person, finally, for the first time. Which, even saying out loud, I'm gay, I couldn't even do it at that time. It was so taboo and unacceptable. But I pulled my younger sister aside. She and I were pretty close, and I was like, hey, I got to tell you something. And she was like, oh, okay. And her response was, ultimately, she was like, wow, well, this actually makes it feel like loving people would be a lot easier. I was like, oh, imagine that. I was surprised. I did not expect her to be supportive. And then several close friends were actually pretty supportive of me, even though none of us were affirming, none of us accepted gay people. They were all pretty responsive to me. So fast forward, I started doing a lot of research. I read a lot of books and listened to a lot of podcasts and started meeting several authors and just learning new stuff. I was like, I'm going to listen to anybody who's affirming the queer community, especially when it comes to religion, and just hear what they have to say and see if there's anything valid over there. And I was shocked at the level of academia and research that had been done to debunk the harmful, heterosexist, homophobic, queerphobic, transphobic theology within the evangelical church. And so intellectually, I was like, we are dishonest. This is not fair. This is not true. What we're saying isn't even substantiated. This is not okay. So by 2022, I had moved to Nashville from California because I found a mentor who was helping me with this transition of coming out publicly with my Christian platform. So on February 1st of 2022, it was 2 years of my anniversary to that Taylor Swift moment. I came out publicly on social media. I shot a 1-hour YouTube video, told my entire story, and then published it on every online platform that I had. And I had a sizable following, and they were all Christians, evangelicals, homophobic people. So it was a nightmare, watching them respond. People were so mean, cruel, shockingly cruel. I mean, I'd never been called a false prophet or been accused of being possessed by a demon or worshiping Satan or leading people astray or dragging people to hell with me. All this stuff just was continuously coming out on social media every day for months. It was a lot, and my mental health started to suffer. So I had to adjust my lifestyle. I had to get a therapist and go on lots of nature walks and go to the gym, and I had to change how I was living to manage the level of hate that I was getting. But when I came out, I decided I was gonna come out swinging, because to go on the journey that I went on was so much work, and it was so much theological effort to try and debunk and detoxify the things that I deeply believed to be true about God. And I was like, man, how is the average person supposed to survive this? How is a queer person coming out in evangelicalism supposed to find their way with a clear conscience into being a whole person when all this stuff is in play? So I changed everything about my work. I was a spiritual coach and counselor at the time, and I shifted all my focus to, like, now I'm going to help queer people, specifically queer people recovering from toxic evangelical theology. And then I started sharing the hate that I was getting publicly on social media and using the horrible words people were saying to me to debunk and defang this dehumanizing theology and give tools and language and framework for queer people like me to push back and get out of that debilitating, toxic closet. And that was 3 years ago now, and I've been doing it ever since. And so now I work specifically with queer people who are trying to find their way forward if they want to keep their faith or get rid of it. Either way, in a clear conscience, with like informed decisions and like finding their way out of the closet and being able to be who they are. And so, you know, speaking at churches like dried up real fast. Churches didn't want me to come anymore because I'd become part of the enemy. So being here today is a huge honor. I love that churches and spaces like this exist. I am like, okay, Unitarians, I see you. This is awesome. I feel like this is what church is supposed to be, right? This is like how the church is supposed to function and operate. Like it's beautiful. So I'm so honored to have been here and with you. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you in the library.
Thank you, Mike. So we have some closing words, and then we're going to close with a super fun song led by Joe and Bradley. But our closing words are, love is the only magic. It enriches the giver as it nourishes the object. It serves the instant and washes over the ages. It is as particular as the moon and as universal as the heavens. If returned, it is multiplied. Yet spurned, it is not diminished. Thank goodness, right? Choir, we all come up, and then if you're willing and able to stand, the words are going to be on here, but it's super easy, kind of a call and response, and then we'll sing the chorus together. So we can follow along with Bradley. She'll be our leader. You're going to want to stand. Come on. You are going to want to stand. It's a lot of fun.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other foot. One foot. Lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other foot. One foot, and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other foot. One foot, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other foot. One foot, and lead with love. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. But here I am. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other foot. One foot in lead.
Love you. Bye. Have a great week. Play us out.